Hello everyone, I'm Angela Canwar. Welcome to Spots of Time podcast, where we delve into people's lives and where something significant happens and they sort of change direction and they use their toolkit to navigate those situations. On today's show, I'm joined by Syreeta Lucky. So welcome Syreeta, and it's great to have you join us. So could you tell us a little bit about the work that you were doing to help women who'd experienced domestic violence?
Okay, so I've been working in the domestic abuse sector now for over 10 years. It all started when I was doing locum work for an organisation called Broadway. Now it's called St Mungo's. Everyone probably knows it as St Mungo's. And they'd opened their first refuge in Watford. And they asked me to come along and work there. I had no idea what that entailed, but yeah, I said yes. And then I went along and I started working there was 2 refuges next door to each other with women who had escaped domestic abuse situations. And I found that I absolutely loved it. It was so rewarding. I guess I would arrange all the fun stuff like Chinese New Year and Black History Month, all the sort of events and stuff for the women, as well as supporting them. And I then came back to work with Hestia as well. So I came back as a locum in another organisation called Hestia. And then I did a floating support role. And I went on to do an IDVA role, which is an independent domestic violence advisor. So I've worked in the courts with women. I've worked in the police station. I've worked in housing. So I've kind of explored all avenues of the domestic abuse sector. Yeah.
Ultimately, in a worthy space, helping women who obviously had gone through so many different problems and suffering from domestic violence, something that you enjoyed doing in terms of helping those women and actually contributing to society. But over time, over 10 years, when you're in that space, it started to take its toll and have some impact on you. Could you tell us about that?
I did, because I didn't realise until we had, I was working as a complex need advisor. So I was working with women who experienced domestic violence, but they also had drug and alcohol and other sort of issues as well. So I was working as a complex need in Merton. So I remember I was travelling there, getting up 6 a.m, travelling over to Merton, running 3 drop-ins. One was in a church in the morning, one was in the council in the afternoon, and one was in the drug and alcohol service. And then sort of getting all my paperwork and my laptop back on my back on the train back home. So I was doing that full time. And then pandemic came, lockdown came. So we were all told we would be working from home for 3 weeks. And we all know it turned out to be a year and a half. And it was during the pandemic when I kind of had a moment to be still. I weren't traveling. I weren't all over the place. I was obviously working from home, but it was phone work and stuff. And so I just kind of had time to reflect, I think. And just realised that, I was just feeling a bit overwhelmed and obviously the domestic abuse sector sort of heightened during the pandemic due to the fact everyone was at home and sort of locked in with each other. So it was a very difficult time for us, for obviously the women and our service as well. Our caseload was I was 60 at one point. That was that. And then I went back out into work after the pandemic, and then something had changed. I just started to feel a bit overwhelmed. Services weren't the same. There was a lot of funding cuts and stuff like that.
Do you feel that the funding cuts and the pressure of the workload, the caseload was increasing month by month, and the fact that you were overwhelmed with that was a pivotal point for you, where you were thinking, oh my goodness, it's beginning to affect my mental health?
Yeah, definitely. During the time of pandemic and I was at home, I was doing a lot of meditation. I was on YouTube learning new sort of methods like meditation and journaling, and just sort of reading as well, a lot of books and stuff. So I think I'd kind of starting to have a shift basically, and just started to recognize how to take care of my mental health. Do you know what I mean? Just recognizing when I needed to sort of take time out and take a moment. So that was I started to use meditation as a coping mechanism, or one of the many coping mechanism. So went back out into the world of work, found it quite difficult. So I thought maybe if I go part-time, that might help. Then I have a few days to myself. I went part-time, didn't like it. It didn't make a difference. And then I thought maybe if I change jobs, if I would go and work for another organisation. So I got a role at supporting victims of domestic abuse in the housing sector. And then after 6 months, I just left. I literally left.
Did you say, right, I've had enough? Was it like that?
Yeah.
What was that moment for you when you thought, oh, I can't do this anymore?
Well, during that time, that's when I discovered Reiki. I went for a facial with a lady. She lived in Islington, and she was telling me about her sister who had just completed a Reiki course, and she was using her house as well for her Reiki clients. And to be honest, I think she was trying to sell me a 2-for-1 deal. She was like, if you come and see me for a facial, then my sister can come and see you. We can do you.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking, and so I said, I've heard of Reiki before, but what does your sister do? And so she was telling me that her sister has Reiki clients and she works on their chakra points, which brings up a lot of trauma.
Right, suppressed trauma.
Yeah.
So can you kind of explain what Reiki actually is?
Okay, so Reiki is healing with energy. Okay. So you can either be hands off or hands on. And you work on your chakra points as well. So you work on your 7 chakra points of your body. Once you're attuned to Reiki, you work with your instincts. So we have these techniques that we use, like if your hands start, if you go past another part of the body, the hands start shaking, or you get a little twitch, or you get something, you get sort of a
reaction.
Reaction. Then you kind of stay at that point. Yeah. And so it's Reiki, it's healing with energy as well, but you have to be attuned to Reiki.
It obviously had some effect on you when you had that conversation. Your curiosity was aroused. Maybe I should find out about this. So what happened after that conversation with the beautician?
So what it was, a few months earlier, my dad had passed away.
Okay.
So my dad passed away, and she actually, the story that the beautician told me was like, oh, she was working with a lady whose dad passed away, and she hadn't really dealt with the trauma. And so she just literally, after she'd finished the Reiki session, she literally just sat there crying. She thought she'd healed, but she hadn't, kind of thing. I don't know, something had a little sort of click in my head about that. Yeah. And so I thought, okay, this sounds really like something that could really benefit me. I thought I'd do a bit of research and see if I can find someone a bit closer to where I live, basically. Because we're still coming out of the pandemic, so I didn't really want to travel back and stuff like that. So I did some research, and this lady kept coming up. Everyone who was in my local area was full up and didn't have any appointments. So this lady kept coming up, and then but she lived really far. She lived in Croydon. And so I was like, oh, I don't want to go to Croydon. Like that's even further than where I went. And then I messaged her, and then she messaged me back, and then she said, in your own time, if you want to book with me, just let me know, when you're ready. And then I was telling a work colleague about it, and she was like, well, if you're feeling that subconscious about traveling, why don't you just factor in a cab in the sort of overall price, basically. So anyway, something just told me, I just did it. And at that time where I decided to go for Reiki treatment, I was at a crossroad in my job where I was really unhappy. I was at the height of my career. I was earning a lot of money. I was traveling around the country. I was helping out on underachieving services. Due to the pandemic, there was short staff and the services were. So I was traveling around the country, and I was just like on call a lot of the time, available 24 hours. If a woman needed to be admitted to the refuge, then you'd have to go out in the middle of the night. It was really, really stressful. Yeah. And so I went to my Reiki master and then I didn't know what to expect. And then she was sitting there to go, well, why did you come? Why Reiki? And I was like, I haven't got a clue. I don't know what it is, don't know what I'm going to do, don't know how I'm going to feel. And then she was like, oh, that's fine. So she started to do her treatment and stuff. It was very powerful.
So this is the part that I'm really interested in. When you say it was really powerful, when she was doing the treatment, what did you feel?
Well,
what resonated with you?
It's really hard to explain. It's like heat. It's like unblocking. It's more like a spiritual awakening.
Okay.
I don't know. It's unblocking limited beliefs. So yeah. So it was like literally. It was like I had a shift. In me, and you can't really explain it. It's like it's a feeling. Do you know what I mean? It's a feeling that you can't really put into words and stuff like that. It's like when people find religion, or when they fall in love. It's kind of that feeling. It's a feeling, and you can't, there's no words to describe it. And so I had a little chat with her afterwards, and she was just telling me a bit about her background and how she left her job to pursue her Reiki career, and how everybody at her organization thought she was a bit crazy, and they offered her counseling because she was in a top job as a banker in one of the top banks. Yeah, she was like managing director of a bank, And then she was really unhappy, and so she sort of like fell in love with Reiki herself, and then she left her job. And so the whole experience was a shift, and it kind of made me feel like, well, maybe I don't have to do this job forever, because I think there's a fine line between being good at something and enjoying it, and being passionate about it. So I knew I was good at my job, but I kind of realized that I wasn't really passionate about it anymore. And it was nothing to do with the women, it was to do with the services and the funding and all the politics that comes along with that role. And so she was like, well, you know, if you do a bit of research, you can come along to my Reiki level 1 course as well that she runs over 2 days. And so I did.
So you started to train on that particular course, and how long was that process, and what kind of effect was it having on you whilst you were practicing and learning?
I started to train on a Reiki 1, and it was 2 days. And it was just really amazing. It was really nice to meet like-minded people as well. You know, people that believe in spirituality, that believe in instincts, that believe psychic, that kind of world. It was really nice, because I remember when I was younger, I used to have dreams. I used to have dreams that, you know, when my brother used to play football, and he used to lose his key all the time. My mum would just be going nuts at him. And I used to literally dream where he'd leave them, and he'd go back the next day and find them.
Unbelievable.
And I was like, well, you left them in the field by this bit. If you go around the corner, and they would be there. And I just thought it was normal. I just thought everyone could do it. And I'd dream of people, and I'd see them the next day, like people I hadn't seen for a long time, and then I'd bump into them the next day. So it was just
some kind of psychic ability there.
But I just thought everyone had it. And then you sort of grow up, have kids, so you don't even give it a second thought, and then like meeting people again who are sort of like do have like, you know, experiences, stuff like that. It was really good. It was really nice. It felt like I was on the right path in life.
And do you feel it was kind of like a process of revitalization for you personally?
100%. Yeah 100%. I mean, I changed when I sort of like discovered Reiki, became more calmer, became more tolerant, and more understanding of people's traumas as well. And why people act the way they act, and it was really, really quite life-changing. And so I decided to go on and do Reiki level 2, so I could start practicing. So I did my Reiki level 2, and I started practicing on my work colleagues who would listen to me talk about Reiki like for the last 6 months. So I started practicing on them. Set up at my bed, ordered my bed, set it up my front room, back of my front rooms, and started inviting like some of my work colleagues, some of my friends over, and then I started like charging people, started leafleting and charging people.
So you started to practice, and then you went further and you became a Reiki master.
So like 9 months later I did the Reiki master course, and it just became more powerful. So the higher you go up in levels, the more powerful you become, because you work with different symbols.
And some of the people that you've treated, what effect has it had on them?
I've had people that have just sat in my front room and cried afterwards.
And
it's really important to hold space, just to let them talk, basically. So I'd have a little consultation beforehand, get them on the treatment bed. Usually everyone would just usually fall asleep, which is really good. If you fall asleep during Reiki, that means you're not resistant to it, so it's more powerful for you. So the treatment lasts about 45 minutes, and then you sit them up slowly, wake them up, and then give them water. So you basically start to detox like spiritually, so you can experience headaches, you can be very emotional, mood swings and stuff. So I had one lady that just sat on my sofa crying, like just crying and stuff, and then she was just telling me a bit about a situation and that. And I've had one client, she'd been suffering from knee pain for many years because she fell down the stairs, and so I worked on her, and she was just like, I just feel like every time I leave here I feel like I could dance. And she was dancing out of my house while she was waiting for a cab.
That must have been really heartening.
And then she was like, I don't even want to go to the doctor anymore, I just come to you. And I was like, go and see your doctor still. It works so well. She goes, you have magic in your hands. She's like,
magic in your hands. That's quite a thing to say to someone. You got magic in your hands, so you can actually see the direct impact that you're having on those individuals that you're treating. Is amazing. For you personally, obviously it had a real shift in terms of, like you say, your career, and you moved into Reiki, and it's had a profound effect on you and helped you, and maybe, as you say, kind of giving you the sort of support for yourself mentally.
Yeah.
What other elements of your toolkit do you use? Because obviously you mentioned meditation, journaling that you were doing previously. Reiki has obviously helped you a great deal.
Yeah.
And I presume that you practice that on a daily basis. What other elements in your toolkit do you kind of draw upon when you find yourself in a stressful situation? What's the secret sauce?
Secret sauce is a practitioner. You're supposed to do self Reiki every day. I mean, obviously, in the modern world, Asui, who was the founder of Reiki, would, you know, wants all his students to practice Reiki, heal themselves before they can heal others.
Right.
But in the modern world, that was like hundreds of years ago. In the modern world, it's hard to remember to do Reiki every day. Just like a 20-minute practice that I do every day. But I do, if I am feeling overwhelmed or stress or headaches, I used to get really bad headaches before I discovered meditation and Reiki. And I know now that if I do get a headache, it's stress. And so just take a moment and kind of like write down my thoughts. I do my self Reiki, work on my chakra points, and it just completely calms me down. And I just learned that in the morning, it's important to have a bit of time to get up, do a 10-minute meditation. I journal. I've got like a yoga stretch practice I do, like lasts about 8 minutes, but if I have time, and just kind of like sets me up for the day. Because just like when you're traveling on the tube and it's busy and stuff like that, it's really important to just be in the moment, just be. You know what I mean? Everyone else is rushing. You don't have to rush because everyone else is rushing.
Sure. It's important, as you say, in your body throughout the day, you're holding tension over time. It's building and building. So those yoga stretches first thing in the morning and last thing at night, you're releasing that tension. And it may not resonate with everyone, but ultimately your body will thank you for it.
Yeah. I know some days are stressful, but you have to find the good in every day. I think you have to look for the miracles each day. Do you know what I mean? You have to look for the good in every day, even if it's like, I got a seat on the train, so I didn't have to stand for like an hour on the way home. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, or, you know, my train was on time and when I got out, my bus was right there. It could be small things to make your life a little bit easier and less stressful. So I think you have to look for the good. I actually, literally, before I close my eyes at night, I actually give thanks. I'm just like, I'm so grateful that I got through this day and for another day. And, you know, just think about the one thing I'm grateful for. Good shift.
Gratitude. That is so important, because it's so easy to go, I had not such a great day, and go down the negative route, and then that's the route you're going to stay down for a while if your train of thought stays there. But you can pull yourself back from that and actually think what's been good about today, and think actually it's not so bad, and it's that vibe you give off, and how you feel within yourself as well. As you say, that it's incredible that the Reiki has had that impact on you, and also on others as well. As you say, you can actually see the effect it's having on those people, and that must be quite satisfying when you put your hands above that individual. Never touch them, and
all the hands-on. All we can do hands-on. And I did this. I've done distance Reiki as well, which was really good. I mean, distance Reiki is one of the things that we practice in level 2. That I was a bit like, oh, really? Is this gonna work? But it's so powerful, and I think it's because you're more relaxed because you're at home and then they're at home. And I've done a few distance Reiki, and I had one client I did it at 9. She dropped her children to school 9:30 in the morning. She's like, right, ready to go. I'm lying down, candles are set, blah blah blah, let's do this. So I was like, okay, you need to calm down. And then so did her Reiki, and then she texted me and she goes, I literally had to close my laptop at 2 o'clock. I was so like relaxed and calm and zoned out. I couldn't do any work, and I was like the same. And I was the same. I literally just like come like lunchtime, I was just like drained. So really, like so it was a really powerful healing that I done for her. And she's just like she comes back all the time. She either comes for she either comes to my house or we do distance Reiki.
Okay. So you've got a very definitive toolkit there that you, like you say, you draw upon when you find yourself in a stressful situation, because life is such that it will sometimes deal with you a stressful situation or a person or a challenge. But I think, as you say, to have that toolkit is really important. It might be different for everyone, but as long as you've built that toolkit over time, you've developed it over time, and you know what works for you. And sometimes it's trial and error, isn't it? It's trial and error.
Yeah, it is. And I believe that, you know, some people have religion Some people
Yes.
have their faith. Everyone, it's a very, very, life is hard.
Yes.
Let's not deny it. And it's a very and to have something to call upon to help you get through life, whatever you want to call it, religion, faith, or whatever helps you get through, I think is really important. So
Totally. Well, it's been enlightening talking to you, and I'm so glad that, as you say, that you've reached a calm place in your life where you think, you know what, I'm not as stressed, as overwhelmed, and maybe not fulfilled as you are now, which it just goes to show that sort of that the direction of your life changed for a reason. And sometimes it could be just that interaction, that conversation that you have with one person that actually changes the dial of the direction that you go in. So it's been really a very interesting conversation that I've had with you, and I've really enjoyed learning more about Reiki, and maybe I should book an appointment with you. And,
definitely, yes, 100%.
Release the stress. But thank you, Syreeta. It's been a really interesting time talking to you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you for watching and listening. I have certainly taken great inspiration from today's podcast story, and hope you have too. If you have a story you would like to share, get in touch via my YouTube channel, the Spots of Time podcast, and please do click subscribe, or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Angela Kanwar.